Yesterday, Grand Theft Auto 6 leaked for real.
The entire source code for GTA 5 has apparently leaked online.
The hacker behind Grand Theft Auto 6 has been sentenced to life in a hospital prison.
At just 18 years old, Aryan Kurtaj pulled off what many call the biggest hack in gaming history. And while his skills are impressive, there's one thing that sets Aryan apart from all the other teenage hackers out there: his need to hack no matter the consequence. So, who is this kid? Rockstar Games' worst nightmare. Grand Theft Auto 6 is arguably one of the most anticipated games ever. Back in December 2023, the game made history after its launch trailer got 93 million views in the first 24 hours of release. And the hype makes sense since fans have been eagerly waiting for a new installment in the GTA series for over 10 years now. Rockstar Games, the developer of Grand Theft Auto, managed to keep everything about the game under wraps. That is, until September 18th, 2022. This was the day that Aryan Kurtaj became one of the most famous hackers in the world.
The big hot ticket item, the discussion right now, is the GTA 6 leaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, GTA 6 just got leaked.
Aryan managed to hack into Rockstar Games' internal server and leak over 90 in-game videos and screenshots showcasing the game's main characters, map locations, and other developments. This leak reportedly cost the company over $5 million, not to mention countless hours of employee hard work. But while this hack is what Aryan is known for, he's by no means new to hacking. In fact, Aryan's journey in cybercrime is a long one, and it all started with Minecraft. A hacker was born. Aryan Kurtaj was born in Oxford, England sometime in 2005. Although not much is known about his upbringing, we do know that he was an avid lover of fishing and his family had a decent amount of money. As a kid, he attended a prestigious private school where he excelled in subjects like math and science. Growing up, he was also more than a casual gamer, so he knew his way around technology pretty well. Aryan had a natural talent when it came to computers and began putting those skills to the test early on, like hacking into Minecraft to win at PvP. But while he may have started off cheating in video games, Aryan soon moved on to bigger things. Through his time playing games and browsing online forums, Aryan was able to meet a ton of veteran hackers. Using the online alias White, he became friends with them, but it didn't take long for his skills to surpass theirs, even though he was just a beginner. Aryan didn't just want to be good at hacking, he wanted to be the best. However, he understood that working together with other highly skilled hackers would make him even stronger. So he and his fellow hackers named Evelyn and Miku co-founded the hacker group Infinity Recursion in early 2001 when Aryan was just 16 years old. Although most of Infinity Recursion's activities were mostly undocumented, it said that the group was known for its illegal warrant subpoena services. Using SIM swapping techniques, members of Infinity Recursion were able to gain access to the private data of major companies. They did this by using the identity of law enforcement officers after hacking into their emails.
By using compromised law enforcement emails, they were able to issue fake legal requests demanding companies release data on whoever they wanted.
Unfortunately for Aryan, Infinity Recursion would soon fall apart just months after its creation. But that didn't stop him from trying to fulfill his aspirations of creating a famous hacker group. That's why Aryan, with the help of some of the remaining Infinity Recursion members, banded together to form a new group named Lapsis. Outside of his group activities, Aryan also engaged in other cybercrimes such as stealing from crypto wallets and cell phone SIM card swapping to make money. Through these solo hacks, Aryan was able to generate an impressive net worth of over 300 Bitcoin, or around $14 million by the age of 18. And like most young millionaires who gain their wealth extremely quickly, Aryan didn't spend his money wisely. He blew most of it by gambling online. But that didn't mean that he wasn't always trying to come up with new ways to make some cash, which is why he started to dive into the world of business. The Doc Spin Chronicles. At just 16 years old, Aryan was already trying to become a successful businessman. And when he saw that he had the chance to buy one of the dark web's most notorious websites, he grew interested in it. So on November 2021, Aryan, under the alias White, bought the pay spin site Doc Spin from two individuals named KT and Brenton. The website was infamous for allowing users to publish doxes anonymously. A dox is when you publish private information about someone, such as full names, addresses, social security numbers, and passwords. Doc Spin has been one of the most praised sites on the dark web for ages, but just after 3 months of owning the site, Aryan had completely destroyed Doc Spin's reputation. Despite buying the site, Aryan didn't seem to care too much for it and neglected it completely, which ruined many of the site's long-running features. It wasn't long before Doc Spin site members started pressuring Aryan into selling the site back to its original owners for an 80% discount off the price that he had bought it for. And Aryan, he was not happy about this. He believed that he fumbled a huge money-making opportunity, but instead of negotiating with KT and Brenton, he decided to declare a full-on cyber warfare by attempting to take the site down by locking it. Unfortunately for Aryan, his plan didn't work, so he opted for alternative options. Since he still had access to the Doc Spin social media accounts, he decided to go on there and make a couple of posts, which also didn't work.
He then attempted to publicly advertise a bounty of $100,000 for KT stocks on the main Doc Spin Twitter. But not even 5 hours later, KT gains access to the Twitter account to start mocking White on his very awful internet security and OPSEC skills.
This internet feud got so intense that Aryan ended up just leaking the entire database of Doc Spin users, also accidentally leaking his information in the process. This leak cost Aryan approximately $75,000 and honestly didn't have nearly as much impact as he had hoped for. The Doc Spin management team took this as a major threat and decided to drop an extensive docs document revealing all of Aryan's personal information on the site as a retaliation. The information included Aryan's full real name and his address. But what was arguably the most revealing piece of information in the document was Aryan's affiliation with Lapsis, which at this point had already become a notorious ransomware group. Although those involved knew that Aryan was not only a member but the founder, this was completely new information to anyone else. Aryan did his best to keep his affiliations a secret, and as an anonymous hacker operating under numerous aliases, secrecy was their #1 priority for someone like Aryan. But now all of that was gone, which was not only disappointing but also dangerous. The Doc Spin management team decided to take this offline. They sent a group of people to pay Aryan a visit in person, going to his mother's and father's house to try and find him. But Aryan had already planned for this. He called the police to inform them of what was coming, and when the Doc Spin people arrived, there was already an officer waiting on the scene. After their visit didn't work, they chose to call in a SWAT raid on his home instead. But for Aryan, that was nothing compared to what he was already dealing with, because it seemed as though his crimes were catching up to him, and in 2022, Aryan was apprehended in both January and March. He was taken to court for suspicions of his ties to Lapsis, but he was eventually let go because of the lack of evidence to prosecute him. Although police had a damning docs document to go off of, that wasn't enough to keep Aryan locked up, but the police and the court still kept an eye on him, knowing that it was only a matter of time before he would return to face a judge. The only punishment that Aryan got from his time in court was a month-long internet suspension. And of course, something as simple as this wasn't going to be enough to stop him from hacking. In fact, you're about to learn just how dedicated Aryan was to his craft, the group that committed real crimes. After just a few months, Aryan's hacking group Infinity Recursion fell apart, and with the entire Doc Spin debacle now behind him, Aryan was free to continue his path of cybercrime, but this time with the support of an even bigger team.
And a mysterious overseas hacking group targeting major tech companies. KPX5's Sarah Donchi reports the FBI is now asking the public for help trying to track them down.
Aryan, along with the remaining few members of Infinity Recursion, banded together to form a new hacker group called Lapsis, which is one of the most notorious ransomware groups out there. Lapsis made headlines dozens of times for their large-scale cybercrime. Using the alias White and Teapot Tuber hacker, Aryan continued to keep his true identity a secret from the members of Lapsis and other fellow hackers. And over the years, these aliases would become tied to some huge cyber attacks on major corporations. While no one knows when Lapsis was officially formed, they first became known in 2001 after they hacked into the Brazilian Health Ministry's computer system. Members of Lapsis stole and deleted 50 terabytes of data on their internal servers. Over the years, Lapsis continued getting its name known by targeting major companies, particularly in the technology industry. And despite being so young, Aryan was quick to become one of the organization's best hackers, leading many of the group's major attacks. attacks, one of them being tech giant NVIDIA. In February of 2022, NVIDIA shocked the world with news that they were investigating an incident. But word spread fast that it wasn't just any incident, it was a cyber attack.
They're saying that there's a possible cyber attack that resulted in company systems being disabled, developer tools, emails taken offline for 2 days.
This large-scale cyber attack completely compromised the company's internal systems, allowing Lapsis to take control for 2 days before NVIDIA shut them out. Through the hack, Lapsis leaked the personal information of over 71,000 NVIDIA employees and threatened to leak an extra 1 terabyte of stolen data. Lapsis even tried to blackmail NVIDIA, claiming that they would leak even more data to the public unless the company gave in to their requests. This seemed to be a common threat that they made, considering that they made the same to Samsung, Ubisoft, and Microsoft a month later. In these hacks, Lapsis and Aryan did their usual routine, which involved breaking into each company's system, stealing sensitive information like employee data, user data, and source code, and then leaking it online. After these back-to-back cyber attacks, Lapsis's reputation as a dangerous organization was cemented, and soon one name started to be tied to the group's most recognized crimes: Aryan Kurtaj, the genius teen hacker who was the mastermind behind the organization. Since Aryan's problems with the entire Doc Spin team had made him a victim of doxing himself, it didn't take long for the police to piece together his identity. His nickname, White and Teapot Tuber Hacker, were no longer anonymous. They finally had a face. When Aryan's affiliation with Lapsis was confirmed, police were quick to take action. And in September of 2022, Aryan, along with an unnamed 17-year-old hacker, were both taken into police custody for their participation in Lapsis's cybercrimes. But even under police watch, Aryan couldn't contain his urges to hack. So while he was on bail, Aryan decided to show the world just how skilled he was at his craft. He embarked on a solo cybercrime spree that would make him a legendary hacker, but also brought him lifelong consequences. Aryan's final mission. We already know that Aryan's hacking story started with video games. His love for Minecraft kickstarted his cyber-criminal lifestyle. But Aryan also had an interest in another game, Grand Theft Auto. Now that he and Lapsis had parted ways, Aryan had all the time in the world to pursue his own personal hacking goal, breaking into Rockstar games. But there was one main problem. He was under police protection, specifically locked inside a hotel room with officers stationed outside his door and his laptop in complete lockdown. How was he going to pull this off? If there's a will, there's a way. So we got a little creative with some of the things lying around his Travel Lodge hotel room. But before targeting Rockstar Games, Aryan wanted to enhance his hacking skills. Knowing that he was probably going to go to jail soon, he wanted to go out with a bang. So he decided to hack several multi-million-dollar companies all by himself. All it took for Aryan to hack these servers was a TV, a smartphone, and an Amazon Fire Stick. He used these items to create a makeshift computer to conduct the most impressive hacks of his career, starting with Uber. Aryan's hack on Uber apparently cost the rideshare company $3 million due to damages that he created. Afterwards, he moved on to the finance company Revolut, accessing over 5,000 customers' private information. But he wasn't done. Not until he got his hands on the coveted GTA 6 files. Using that same Fire Stick and hotel TV method, Aryan was able to not only access Rockstar Games' internal servers, but also their company Slack, which is a communication app kind of like Discord. There, he made a threat stating that he would release the game's source code if no one from the company contacted him within 24 hours. And they tried to call his bluff, leaving his messages ignored. So, Aryan took that as a green light to leak everything. September 19th, 2022. This was one of the biggest leaks in all of gaming history. 3 gigabytes of stolen footage and gameplay from GTA 6 was shared with the public through an online gaming forum. There were over 90 clips and photos of the unreleased game, and while Rockstar and Take-Two, their parent company, tried their best to contain the leak by copyright striking everything, it was already far too late. Everything spread across the internet like wildfire, and whenever a piece of leaked content was taken down, it was just re-uploaded moments later. There was nothing that Rockstar or Take-Two could do, so they decided to turn their attention to the perpetrator, Aryan.
They got him. Oh yeah! Take a look at this.
After this hack gained international attention, police police were able to tie the leak back to Aryan, who was already under police protection on bail, and they decided to punish him to the full extent of the law. But there were a few complications with that plan. For starters, Aryan has autism, so doctors deemed him unfit to stand trial. Because of this, a jury was used instead to determine whether or not Aryan was guilty, and more importantly, whether he hacked Rockstar Games with criminal intent. Through this trial, which happened in August of 2023, a few things were made clear. Aryan was undoubtedly a force to be reckoned with. There were only a few hackers out there with his level of expertise. The boy hacked into a famous gaming company with just a hotel TV, a Fire Stick, and his phone. But more importantly, everyone was made aware of just how passionate Aryan was about hacking. After the jury deemed Aryan guilty, he took a mental health assessment where the results showed that he was likely to return to cybercrime as soon as he could. There's something in him that made hacking an instinct rather than a job or a hobby, which made him extremely dangerous to the public. Seeing that Aryan was highly likely to reoffend, the judge deemed that he was a danger to society, and that landed him a life sentence. Not in prison, but in a secure mental hospital for the rest of his life or until the doctors decided otherwise. But while Aryan may have gotten caught, that didn't mean that this was the end of his story, because others wanted to avenge Aryan and set him free. And by others, I mean the hacking group that Aryan helped found, Lapsis. Lapsis avenges Aryan. In December of 2023, Rockstar Games gave the gaming community what they've been waiting for, the GTA 6 trailer. With a release date for the trailer scheduled for December 5th, 2023, many gamers were waiting in anticipation for the video. However, the day before, the entire GTA 6 trailer was leaked online. It was posted on the platform X with a watermark that told viewers to purchase Bitcoin. Immediately, people began speculating that this was the work of Lapsis. Many people thought that this was a retaliation for the downfall of their founder. In response to this leak, Rockstar decided to just upload the trailer themselves to try and mitigate the damage, but it was already done. The studio and its parent company, 2Take, suffered severe financial losses due to the trailer leak.
It's really about how much money GTA makes for the studio Rockstar Games and its parent company, Take-Two Interactive. Those shares down 6% this morning.
And while the trailer leak wasn't confirmed to be by the hands of Lapsis, this next incident undoubtedly was.
Today we're going to be talking about another Rockstar Games leak, and it ain't GTA 6. The entire source code for GTA 5 has apparently leaked online.
On Christmas Day 2023, Lapsis leaked the entire GTA 5 source code to the public, exposing the game's vulnerabilities and various other sensitive data in a huge Telegram file. If you don't know what a source code is, it's like a set of rules for the game, instructing it on what to do when players press buttons or make moves. This attack came as a huge surprise to both Rockstar Games and the general public, as Lapsis had kept quiet ever since Aryan's big GTA 6 leak. But it turns out they were just plotting how they would strike back. With the source code out in the public, it made it more risky for players to play GTA Online, since hackers now could study the ins and outs of the code. This makes it a lot easier for hackers to find ways to create new cheats in the game, like infinite money glitches. This could severely damage Rockstar Games, since a majority of their profit came from players purchasing in-game currency. If hackers could indefinitely spawn money, one of Rockstar's revenue models could begin to fall. This leak had every intention of ruining Rockstar Games. It was a revenge from Lapsis for what the company had done to their founder. And along with the leak, there was a simple message that accompanied it. #FreeAryanCurtage. In the message, members of Lapsis revealed that it was Aryan who started the plan to leak the GTA 5 files. And likely, he never got to complete the hack since he was arrested. This is why the rest of Lapsis decided to take matters into their own hands and do it for him as a tribute for all he's done for the group. Aryan's story is a reminder that our choices have consequences. Aryan was a genius that could have made the world a better place, but his decisions cost him everything. My friends, use your talents for greatness, because the world needs your good, not your chaos. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, click this playlist to watch more dark internet documentaries, because it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you guys so much. You are the best. Peace.